What's going on, you charming Charmanders, and welcome back to another deck profile. This time we're taking a look at a deck that it just seems to get better with every expansion. You have probably seen quite a few lists of this deck, and this one will probably differ a little bit, hence the title. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So to start, we have a line of 3 normal Blazing Destruction Charmanders and 1 Heat Tackle Charmander. This comes quite handy, and if you slap a Defiance Band on it, it also does 60, so yeah, not bad for 1 energy. Then of course you need to have this Flare Wave Charmeleon, because Devo is quite popular, and damage spread is also quite popular, so this is quite nice to have. And then of course the big bad boy, the main attacker, the Charizard Ex. This hasn't changed like for quite a while. It's always 3 unless in like some special tour lists when you can see like playing a 2 of. And then of course we have the 2 Pidgey, and previously there were used the 50 HP Pidgeys because of the Call for Family attack, but now you have to have this 60 HP Pidgey because the amount of Dusclops and Dusknoir running around is quite big, so this prevents you from giving them a free price and of course keeping your opponent from taking the Pidgey, so you can evolve it into this bad boy, the Pidgeot, and this ability is just broken, being able to get any card that you want once per turn. It's amazing. And then of course one of the attackers that we have, it's a staple, the Radiant Charizard, and I'm using this one from Pokemon Go because it's the easier one to get. And now the special additions from the Shrouded Fable set. First off, we have the Fezandipiti, which is basically now in every deck as a counter to, Iono and the Knockout, so that you can always draw 3 cards. And it's quite useful. And then the next card, the big card that we have, is the Pecharunt EX. And with this, you can move Charizard EX into the active position at any time you want, because it's a dark Pokemon. You do poison it, but with 330 HP, like either it gets 1 hit KO'd or it doesn't, so that 10, 20, 30 damage that it does by being in the active, by being poisoned, it's not a big difference. And we're also using this in combination with poison for something that will come down the line in the deck profile, so stay tuned for that and we will see what the special pack is. Of course, Manaphy, standard inclusion, nothing else to say about that, as well as Rotom, how many times just go Arven for Nest Ball, for a Sealstone, and then attach it to Rotom. With for a Sealstone you take Body Puff in, and then you Rotom for 3. That's pretty much how your opening turn as a Charizard EX player looks. And in case you don't get Arven, you of course can Lumineon for it and then attach the Forest Sealstone to it as well, in case Rotom gets knocked out or whatever. And then for the Pokemon search, of course, for Body Puffins, if you could have 5, I would have 5 of them in. You can never go wrong with 4 Body Puffins, allowing you to get some consistency. I know you basically only need like 2 Charmanders and 1 Pidgey basically, starting off. Especially if you're considering that your opponent cannot Gust KO that Pidgey. But yeah, it's still, to get that card, it's still quite handy, and that's why we're having a copy of 4. 2 nice balls, pretty simple, for the Pecharunts, Fezandipitis, Rotoms, whatever you need, so that you don't need to discard any items. And then of course 4 Ultra Balls, allowing you to grab the Evolution Pokemon, and I really like these ones. I have them all stamped as well. So they're in Italian, but who cares? They're stamped. That's what matters. And then of course, let me move this a little bit to the side. We have 2 Super Rods to get the energy back, the Pokemon back, whatever we need. and it's quite handy, of course. You can never go wrong with 2 Super Rods. A Palpad for Professor Churros and boss's orders and whatever comes into hand. Or Karen, you know, for Karen it's also quite useful, but you don't need to switch out that many times now because of the Pecharunt EX, so this is more for the bosses and Ionos. And then, next tech card that we have is Lost Vacuum. You always need to have this in every deck, and the Canceling Cologne as well. Like, I'm a firm believer that combination of these 2 cards need to feature in every deck in the current meta, but you know, of course, it's up to the players if they want to put that in. And then we have, of course, 2 Counter Catcher, and we have 2 because our ace pack of choice is not the Prime Catcher, but it is the Unfair Stamp. Because we want to be aggressive, we want the opponent, of course, to take the prizes as well. You know, usually they take 1 prize, and this is searchable with Arven as well. And you know, if you Unfair Stamp them in second turn, it's usually quite hard for them to get back. Unless, of course, they're extremely lucky, but you cannot do anything about that. And then, for Rare Candy, that's staple, pretty simple, nothing else to explain about that as well. Never gonna cut down to 3 unless you would play like a 2-2 line of Charizards, but still. Then, for the Stadium, this is the only Stadium that we are playing in the deck, for now, of course, until the Area 0 comes. We have the Collapse Stadium, allowing us to get rid of Rotoms, Lumineons, and whatever. And then this is the special tech, the Binding Mochi. So you attach that to Charizard, and if your opponent didn't take any prizes, you're able to actually slap to 20. If you move, of course, the Charizard that has the Binding Mochi attached into the active spot, which is quite nice, allows you to knock out quite a few like V Pokemon that are still in the format, or some EX that have 220 HP. And as well as if the opponent takes 2 prizes, then with this you slap to 80. Because with the Defiance event you only did 270, which you know you could not knock out like V-Star Pokemon. And then of course another damage modifier, we were just talking about the Defiance band. This is a staple in every Charizard deck, as well as the Forest Seal Stone. You know, as I mentioned, the amount of times you just Arven for Nest Ball and a Forest Seal Stone in every game, it's just crazy. So, next up on our list is the Karen. That's a nice card, allows you to switch out or do 30 more damage. But now, maybe I was even thinking of, because we have the Pecharunt and we have the Binding Mochi, that we maybe don't need to use Karen, but we'll see with a little bit more of testing. And next up we have the Professor Churro with this beautiful Regional Championship stamp, because I do not have any other Professor Churros and I have like 3 of those, so I don't mind using one in deck. And then we have 2 copies of Boss's Orders. This is the best Boss's Orders there is. I don't like the Giovanni one, I don't like the Gates ones, and the other ones. This is the Cyrus one, it's the best, and you will see me use it in literally every deck that uses Boss's Orders. And then next up we have 2 Iono. A little great disruption. I actually went for the 4 Arven 2 Iono split. Maybe we could actually go for 3-3, because Arven is pretty much mostly used for like 2 turns, so you know, we'll see. But for now, I'm sticking with 4. And then for the end, of course, we're playing only with 6 Fire Energy.